Okay, the live streaming seems started. Can you see my screen? I'm sharing my browser.
Yes.
Okay, so here are the 4 topics that I collected from the community. I will give maybe seconds for you to go through those 4 topics and see whether any further topics or questions you want to add to this list. Pritesh, did you get the chance to look at these agenda items? And do you have any further questions you want to add to this
Um,
list?
no, I do have one update. I think Milind replied on the issue. He has a different proposal for timestamp revocation. We can discuss this probably.
Okay, I didn't see. Maybe it's another
Fima,
issue.
it should be the other one.
Okay.
You
But
should
yeah,
see
it's
it.
already part of the agenda, so we can
Yeah,
go
it's
in
just
sequential
for
order.
us.
Yeah.
Consider the priority. I think it would be good to start from the second topic, timestamping peer review and discussion. So people will have maintainers will have more time to resolve some complicated issues and discussions in this meeting. Are you fine with this proposal? I want to adjust our sequence of the agenda topics and prioritize the second one.
Works for me.
How about Toddy? Would you be able to stay in this meeting for 1 hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we can start from the second one and maybe involve Millions comments first. So Pritesh, if you have,
Yeah,
if
I
you
can
had,
summarize this.
yeah.
So I had a half hour discussion with Milind today morning. His idea was like there would be anyway confusion because revocation by itself means a revocation check. So customer or users might expect when I have revocation debug, it won't do anything. It won't make the revocation or revocation escape. It won't even make the revocation call for timestamping. And adding it as a separate field in trust policy makes it less discoverable. Like it's like reading a fine print in the trust policy. So we try to brainstorm on this, and it looks like we can probably add a new field in timestamp policy called timestamp revocation. So right now we have integrity, authentic timestamp revocation, and expiry. We can add the fifth one called timestamp revocation. It will have the same values as that of other, and it's basically a new field.
Do you want
And
me
yes,
to open the trust policy
yes,
enforcement table? I believe
yep,
it may
yep.
help people understand that you are
Yes,
referring.
yeah, the idea is to add a new column here, like you have integrity, authenticity, authentic timestamp. There will be a new column for timestamp revocation. It will also have like enforced, logged, and skip field. Yes, there are some combination which would be invalid. For example, if authentic timestamp is skip and you have timestamp revocation configured as enforced, that's an invalid configuration. Basically, it's a no-op configuration. Like timestamp revocation would be of no-op. But this will help. This reduces some of the complexity in trust policy because still we have one table which governs everything and all the values are still same, and it makes it more discoverable also for the users.
Have you finished, Pritesh?
Yep, I have. So that's the proposal.
Okay, so the idea is that Millian proposed to add a new column, timestamp revocation check in this column, in this table, and add these three values for people to put in the in that field. Is that the idea?
Yep, that's correct.
Patrick and Shui. Yeah.
Pritesh, can you explain what does no op mean?
So basically, for example, if authentic timestamp is set to skipped and I mark timestamp revocation as enforced, timestamp revocation won't do anything because authentic timestamp itself is skipped. In that case, what we should do is we should validate the trust policy and just throw an error saying that you have invalid trust policy.
And what if authentic timestamp is locked and timestamp revocation is enforced?
That's again an invalid configuration.
So why are we even allowing such trust policy to be exist in the first place?
It's
I mean,
see, we
I
have
think
to. Mhm. Please go ahead.
okay, so I think we have already discussed this topic by adding a new column in our previous discussion when we brought in the the verify timestamp field, the verify timestamp subfield.
It won't be
So
subfield, it would be individual field here.
I'm not seeing much benefit of adding a new column here. I mean, it's bringing too much learning cost to our user.
The one
It's
thing is
because
sorry, yeah. So one thing is discoverability. If I add a field in subplace, the discovery becomes difficult because I would be, since I, as a user, I go and look at this table to figure out, okay, these are all the five controls I have or four controls I have. Now I would try to find and the problem here is when I see revocation, I will consider the revocation everything. So anyhow, we have to write some star fine prints there. Okay, this is the special control, and it works this way,
okay.
right? So
Yeah. So we already have one subfield called verify timestamp in the subfield. And we are providing examples in our spec, and in command line, we are providing trust policy examples. So we can provide examples to our user, saying, like showing them, hey, we have two subfields for timestamping. One is called verify timestamp, and the other one is called skip timestamp revocation check. We can always show those examples to our user when they want
yes,
to configure the trust policy.
yes. But if I go and look at this table, it won't be
Mm,
evident from there because the signature verification controls. And you show me a revocation here. So if I don't read a complete document, if I just see the table and try to interpret it, which most of the user will do it unless they want to do the complete spec, it will see, okay, revocation is there, let's mark it as a skip and it shouldn't happen. And now it will still make the revocation call. Now I have to go and dig into the whole spec and see and figure out what are fine prints here. If we add it directly to the here, it might, customer won't have, like users won't have to go and read the complete doc. That's one of the major benefit.
okay, okay.
And we were fine with that one adding it there because uh,
I was thinking that this spec is mostly for developers that who wants to implement Notary Project as an implementation. So for real external customers or users, I still think that the example showing to them it's like the first impression
Yeah,
of
we have
the
limited
trust
exam.
policies instead of
We have
this table.
Yes, but given the current state, we have limited examples,
I
right?
I have provided the example in the PR, Freeman. Can
Okay,
can
which
you
pull request?
I think it's this. Oh, it's not here. Can you go to the spec repo?
Yeah.
And the PR.
It's an
Yeah.
opening pull request.
Yes, it's the first one.
Okay. Okay, I believe it's that.
So yes, we even have an example in this same spec. Like as you can see, line 26 and 27 are the example to show the user how to configure a trust policy.
Which line that
So
you are referring
yeah,
to the example?
line 206 and line 27 are the trust policy
206.
examples.
Okay.
So we already have this verified timestamp subfield. If we decide to add a new column at this point, it sounds like timestamping configuration is in multiple places.
It is actually, right? Even if we add it outside, it's at multiple places.
Okay.
Like,
Do others have any opinions on this? Shivi, do you have any comments?
So what's the question?
So the question is, do we want to keep the skip time stamp revocation check flag, or do we want to add a new column to the action table called timestamp revocation check?
Sure, did you get the point? If not, I
Yes,
can refer. Okay.
Yes, I'm thinking. So basically, the difference is that it's introduced one more level, which is called the log, and also it's about the option discovery, right?
yep. So I think the trade-off here is discoverability, because in both the cases we have to add fine prints. In one case, we will have to add fine prints that this following combinations in trust policies are invalid. In other case, we have to anyway add a fine print that this is a new flag, this works this way.
So what I am understanding is that Million wants to inherit the existing design of the enforcement level, the trust level of trust policy, and extend one more field for the trust for the timestamping revocation check, and use those values like enforced, locked, and skipped to present different verification level for timestamping signature.
For
And
example,
I think what I'm thinking is that if we add the timestamp revocation check, users may think about why there's no timestamp integrity, timestamp authenticity, and the timestamp expiry. I'm also thinking about that because once you have timestamp revocation check, users may think, okay, where's other things?
Yes, but they don't make sense, the values, right? Integrity is by default covered by authentic timestamp field. That's what I mean, it covers everything. And expiry is the type of timestamp is like they're 10 years by default. We have got it's so authenticity, I mean, yes, I do see that, but
So it's just back and forth to the
at
discussion we had in the last few
no,
months. So why don't we have a timestamp validations with just a few columns, basically
yes, I
another
mean,
table?
yes, but what's the use case for it? For revocation, we do have a use case. I don't see a use case for having authentic integrity or authenticity, timestamp integrity or authenticity, in which case you will want to control them separately. So for revocation, we do have a use case where users don't want to make a network call out of their VPCs or VPNs.
It seems that the only benefit of adding a new column is to improve the discoverability, but it really brings in the complexity to our trust policy. Like every user needs to set up a trust policy. If it's really complicated, it's hard to use.
Oh, they are overrides. They don't need to go into it unless they really want to dive in there. So we have a set. At high level we call it strict, permissive, and I forgot what the two were. So unless they are looking to override particular values and they are trying to interpret that, that's only where this comes in. And that's where they will open that table. And if they want to really understand what's going on there, and once if they want to understand, they will find every configuration they need in there.
Hey, Pritesh, I have a question regarding the overridden concept. Does it mean the revocation check and timestamp revocation check can be mutually overridden, or we just want timestamping revocation can override the revocation check?
No, they are mutually exclusive. One doesn't control the other.
Will users be
So
confused about this design if we allow mutually exclusive?
yeah, because there are two different revocation calls for different purpose. For example,
Uh,
there can be a use case where you have your private CAs, where you manage your own PKI, but you are choosing a public TSA for whatever use case you have for public distribution of your artifacts. In that scenario, you might have the revocation like OCSP or CRL inside your VPNs where you can make the revocation call to them because you control that infrastructure, but you don't control the TSA infrastructure, which would be external to your VPNs.
so pretty, I have a question. So if the authentic timestamp is set to uh something like log, and the timestamp revocation check is set to enforce. So
That's an
is the
invalid. That's an invalid. We have to throw an error there. So we'll
okay,
have to
but
define certain configurations. The configurations are invalid. Those are the only allowed values.
so basically it is controlled by the authentic timestamp, right?
Yes.
But it's valid if I set it to skip.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So
So for
basically means
example, it becomes a gate. Authentic timestamp is a gate, and if you want to further fine-tune it, you can use revocation check values. For example, authentic timestamp can be enforced, but revocation can be logged or skipped for
okay.
timestamp signature.
So basically, we need another table to saying, okay, which option is valid in which situation. Is that right?
Yes, I don't want to add it a table here because this table is pretty much a high-level overview and the defaults which we have. So yes, there would be a fine print which we will need to add. So it won't be in this table because these are basically saying, okay, signature verification level is set to restrict what would be the default values for this validations. So for example, in case of strict revocation timestamp revocation check would be enforced. For permits, it would be logged. It would be basically similar value of revocation check.
Okay, I see. So I think I can propose this thing. So basically, this will not block the function implementation. It's just a way of setting the trust policies. So Patrick, no, Patrick, what about this? You can add a new PR to modify the specification here. That is, we follow meanings the idea that we add a new column to this table. We will have a time revocation check, and also we need another documentation to mention which value is valid under which value of the authentic timestamp. And let's see which PR get approved first. And and we will implement according to that approved PR. I mean merged PR, so that we are not blocked. And if we find anything wrong in the beta version, we can always change.
Sorry, Shui, can you say that again? We have we have more than one PRs. What do you mean by which one merged?
So basically, we will
First.
have two PRs for two options. And let's see which PR will be merged first. And we will implement accordingly to the first merged PR. And if we find anything wrong in the beta versions, we can always change it to the other solution.
What are these two PRs? One is adding a new column to this table. What's the other one?
The other one is the existing one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And see which one got merged first.
Okay.
I think the purpose. Go ahead, please.
You just go ahead. I just want to say that we just want to speed up the review process and get things merged and get things done quickly.
I'm sorry. I still don't get the benefit of adding a new column. Pritesh, can you see the benefit again? I'm trying to understand why it's better to add a new column.
It's more about discoverability. Once I see a revocation check and I set it to logged, and if I just look at this table, which is most of the time, because I configure the signature verification levels, if I set it to revocation to logged or escaped, there should not be any revocation call because it says revocation check. But by default, there would be a revocation call unless I go out of this signature verification level and set this value outside somewhere. But when you have already given me a field validation called revocation check.
But we can always provide the examples to our users. So you don't think the providing examples to users is as discoverable as this table?
Yes, because when you go and look at the table, that should be comprehensive and self-explanatory, right? And it depends upon how much, since our policy will keep on growing, it depends upon, there will be a limitation on the number of examples you can have.
Okay. Okay. I'll do what Shui proposed. And yeah.
In terms of, I have a question, Pritesh. In terms of the discoverability of inheriting the current design and adding a new field, do you mean you wanna keep the audit mode in the timestamp revocation check so people can check what are the events logged in their verification check?
No, so like, yes, I mean, by default, everything would be controlled by trust policy. For anything which has to do with signature verification, any configuration which we allow on signature verification would be controlled by a signature verification level field inside the trust policy. So if you want to modify any of the behavior, where you can say, okay, this is a new validation. For example, let's say if we introduce a new validation in future, we can always add a new column here. For example, let's say if we do transparency logs in future, just showing something out here. Probably we can add one more column here. Okay, now this is a transparency log validation. We will do it here, and this would be values for it. And that's how you can configure it.
I see. So you wanna go ahead.
Basically one place for all the signature validation configurations.
I see. You
And we
wanna
will still have this. Sorry, just last bit. And we will always have a same default so that if you really don't want to go into depth, you can still choose the default like strict permissive audit and escape. But if you want to really configure it, here are all the configurations available for you.
So the purpose of this kind of design is to keep all of the signature verification level configuration in a central place in the table. And if there's a trust policy command line in the commands in notation CLI, I think it might be convenient for users to configure different verification level for different behaviors. Is that the purpose?
Yes, on the similar line, it's more about, okay, if I have to figure out what are the options I have, I can just go and look here and understand from here.
Okay. So Patrick, did you get all of those information for adding a new PR and clarify what does Million clarified in the issue comments?
Yes, so we are going to keep two PRs. And only one of them will get merged, right? Okay. But these two PRs will have very different implementations though. Which implementation should I go for?
The merged one.
Okay, so that means all other notation implementation PRs will be blocked by this topic. Because currently I'm using the skip timestamp verification check flag as the implementation in all the remaining PRs of timestamping.
I think that's okay because we needed the TSP client PRs and the notation core Go PRs be merged before merging the notation Go PR. So we still have some time.
We still have some time. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, only I think notation Go PR would be impacted, even notation PR won't be impacted. And even in notation Go, only a small section which deals with trust policy would be impacted. Not all other plumbing. We can still do the plumbing work.
So can we make sure that if that new pull request gets raised by Patrick, Pritesh, can you also involve Million to review that pull request, because we may need more justification from Million, especially the benefits of adding a new column and compare those two kind of design. Okay, if that's the action, I think we can follow up after this meeting. Let's go back. So Patrick and Pritesh, do you have any other issue and pull request that you want to prioritize and discuss in this meeting? I believe 304. Is this the question that you want to discuss, Patrick?
Oh, no, it's not a question. It's just a sort of FYI. So last week we see that the DigiCert TSA won't work because we were trying to form a certificate chain entirely within the timestamp counter signature. But if we asking the signer to provide a trusted root cert, we can use the DigiCert TSA again. It works. I'm saying DigiCert is because it's a popular free TSA. So yeah.
Wait, so in the response they provide SHA-1, but they also have cross sign with short of 56.
So sorry, what? Can you say that again?
So when you said that it won't work because in the timestamp response they provide a certificate which was signed using SHA-1 algorithm, but if you
Yes.
pass the certificate separately, they also have SHA-384 version of it because it's cross signed with SHA-384
Yes,
also.
it's cross signed. Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know this. Okay. I think it should not block this because we can always come and lower and relax our specification. Let's start with this for time being.
So I believe this is also the implementation for timestamp certificate chain validation. The logics have already been implemented in relevant pull request, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Pritesh, do you agree with this logic? Hey, Pritesh.
Hey.
Yeah. Do you have any further comments on the current
No, I think it's
design?
fine to start with the limitation. In future, we can relax it anytime in future if we want to.
Okay, so that means we can keep current implementation by following this logic, the timestamping certificate chain validation in our current pull requests. So Pritesh, would you mind also commenting this issue with your opinions so we can maybe close this issue?
Sure, will do.
Okay.
But this was an interesting find.
Okay, let's continue. As we have 23 minutes left, so maybe we need to accelerate our discussion. So for those implementations in relevant pull request, Patrick and Pritesh, which one that you want to prioritize? And maybe discussion.
I think we can just do the TSP can't go PRs today. 23 and 24. So yeah, this one is trying to enhance the user experience. I see Pritesh has a question. I have replied to your question, Pritesh. Can you take a look?
Yeah, I'm just curious. Sorry, the question was, do we have any validation which says that timestamp accuracy cannot be less than 1 second? That's what is from RFC, right?
It says with an accuracy of 1 second or better.
Yes, which is basically max can be 1 second.
So
The accuracy has to be less than 1 second.
Okay, so if the TSA does not provide any accuracy and the policy is baseline policy, we will directly use 1 second.
What if it provides 2 seconds as accuracy? Do we have a validation against that?
If TSA provides accuracy, we will use the second, millisecond, and microsecond.
Yes, what if TSA says I have accuracy of 5 seconds, but as per the RFC which you shared, it says it has to be better than 1 second. 1 second or better.
No, I think accuracy is a number, right? They can provide it as 5 seconds. Then we will use 5 seconds as accuracy.
But the RFC says otherwise, right? The present document defines requirement for baseline timestamp policy for TSA supported by policy certificate with accuracy of 1 second or better.
That's for the baseline policy. That's the RFC for baseline policy, right? For baseline policy, we are using 1 second. And for TSA response, we will be based on RFC 3161.
Wait, just a minute. What is
So there are
baseline
two
policy?
there are two RFCs.
Mm-hmm. Where did I find this RFC from? Sorry, I'm just trying to understand. Quite some time. I think I found the RFC link somewhere in your PR, and that we are referring to this RFC. Hey, can you explain the purpose, what's the difference between this RFC and the original RFC? When is this applicable? Just do a search here. Google should provide me the link. Here you go. What does policy requirement means in this use case? So this is the RFC which I'm referring to.
Sorry, my Zoom crashed. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can. So 3161, if I remember correctly, that one just defines the specification, right? And this one defines what TSA should do. Is that correct interpretation?
We should base on 3161. That one is only for a certain policy. In case the TSA is not using any policy. So 3161 is the RFC that we should be working on here.
And when is 3628 is applicable? In what use case?
When TSA does not provide any accuracy, but they are using baseline policy in their timestamp counter signature. In that case, we should use the other RFC
And how
by using accuracy of 1 second.
how do they define it? That they are using this policy? Sorry, I'm just confused here.
Okay, so it's a
ATS.
object identifier. If the Freeman, can you scroll up and open the file change in this PR?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it's for
It's above this comment. Should be in token. Should be token file. Yes. So in line 228, you can see that if the TSA is returning all zeros and the baseline matches the baseline policy OID, we will use accuracy of 1 second. Otherwise, we will use what TSA returns to us.
That's 3161, right? But in line number 226, you have a comment saying from 3628. So that's what tipped me off. Why do we have line numbers 226 referring to an RFC and the below lines are not as per RFC?
No, that's for line 232. That's for line 232.
I'm confused. So I will check. Okay, but the same RFC says that the maximum can be 1 second, right? Same RFC says that timestamp accuracy can be max of 1 second. It has to be less than that. The same RFC which you have referred here says the same string which I have quoted there, which says that it should always be less than 1 second.
So which line is your question, Pritesh? Are you asking on line
So
232
in the
or
RFC which you have from where you have picked the 1 second default, the same RFC says that the I don't know how to say it, the accuracy should be of 1 second or better in all the cases.
yeah? So we are using 1 second, right? It said 1 second
In all the
better.
cases. In all the cases, right? Not only in the case where it's not passed by user or passed by TSA. Am I missing something? So, and I will
No,
be
in
open. I
that
haven't read
case-
the complete RFC.
Okay. So in that case, if the TSA does return the accuracy, we should use that number. We should not. We should follow RFC 3161.
Which confuses me because
Like
at
in
some
the else
places we are
state.
picking this. At some places we are picking this RFC, and at some we are picking the other one. And why?
Okay, the if statement is actually referenced in the Notary Project spec. You can see that in my
Okay.
reply. Yeah.
Makes sense, but can you just okay, I am fine approving this. The thing is, we are quoting an RFC and the code below is not abiding by that RFC. That's the only thing which was
Okay.
tipping me there.
How about I remove the reference?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Of the RFC?
Yep, I'm fine
Okay.
with that.
Okay.
Because I think that's mostly an RFC for European Union, if I remember, if I did somewhere that. This is similar to PKCS 7 where they have extra fields and extra restriction on top of general specification.
Mm.
And a quick question, curious.
Mhm.
Is there
Yeah.
any timestamp server which doesn't return an accuracy?
That's
It's
a
fine
good
if you don't have
question.
answer. It's
I'm
fine.
not sure.
It's fine.
I'm not sure.
That's one.
Yeah.
Second sound is enabled anyway. Cool. I will just upload. Give me a few minutes. I will review that.
Okay, let me remove the reference, the RFC reference.
Okay, I think we're aligned with this request.
Yep.
Okay, let's accelerate.
I think this should be the last one that we can discuss today. So so this is a bug of the Golang library that they are they have the no raw value parameter, but that one is actually incorrect. The no raw value only sets the tag to 5 and missed the 4 bytes. So if you have, Freeman, can you scroll up? So if you run the piece of code that I showed here, if you have a no raw value and use the encoding ASN1 package to marshal and unmarshal it back, you will get different result. So this PR is trying to fix it by when user trying to get a new request of the timestamping. Whenever they ignore the parameter or set the parameter as no raw value, we will internally transform it to the correct no raw value structure by adding the 4 bytes to the input. So can you can Pritesh and Shiwei review this PR? So it's printing review. It's ready.
If this pull request is just a PR that expects other maintainers to review, how about we putting it in the actionable list in our meeting notes? Then we can tag Shui and Pritesh and maybe other maintainers to review in our Slack channel.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Freeman.
Yeah. And I have a proposal. Maybe we need to schedule a dedicated session for pull request review, especially for code review, when we have a bunch of new features or big enhancement in our code base, in our future releases. Yeah, it may accelerate the peer review progress and increase the review efficiency and communication efficiency. If Pritesh have time, I think we can schedule maybe another dedicated meeting for pull request review and some open discussions. Okay, I guess our community meeting doesn't have quite enough time to resolve some open discussions. So maybe having follow-up peer review meeting in the future would be helpful for accelerating our peer review process. Okay, I think we finished those big pull requests and issues. Let me check whether Toddy is still there. Hey, Toddy. Would you wanna provide any updates for KubeCon NA? I remember that you mentioned the maintenance track has been submitted by you.
Yes, that's the only thing that actually I have done. So I submitted the maintainers track today. As we discussed in one of the previous meetings, we would like to have some users of Notary Project actually present together with us, and this is also the recommendation of CNCF. So I have a potential user from Daimler Chrysler, actually not anymore Chrysler, Mercedes. They are evaluating Notary Project for use in their enterprise, and what we would like to present in this session is to how they actually go about with the evaluation, the POC, what things they are considering for assigning service, and of course for them to share the experience with Notary Project. Also, like part of the session will be updates on the new features, so we need to think what we would like to highlight as part of the maintenance.
Okay. Is that user based in US?
No, they are based in Germany.
Ah, I see.
You've met with him. That's Tiark.
It's Jack from Benz, Mercedes-Benz.
Yes.
Yeah, I had connections with Jack, but recently he didn't respond to me in Slack channel. If you have any discussion threads, you can also involve me and E.
Yes, certainly. I'll keep you updated and the community updated. Yeah. So far, he kind of agreed to do the talk together with us. So we just need to work with them over the next couple of months just to help them with their POC. They were, as we discussed, they're interested into the Vault plugin, the HashiCorp Vault plugin. So we need to see how much the Vault plugin actually satisfies their requirements, and whether we need to do some work there, or whether they can contribute to the actually Vault plugin.
Okay, looking forward to that. The HashiCorp Vault plugin is in experimental stage, so if they can provide feedback and suggestions, we can improve that plugin together. Pritesh, do you have any ideas on engaging with the KubeCon NA? There are some other opportunities for incubating projects like lightning talk, media support, maintenance track, and contributor fest.
Let me talk to Niaz about this. Not sure how much time I can spend on this, but yeah, let me talk to Niaz.
Okay. If you want to talk with Niaz and your team, I think you can just forward this link so they can understand.
Yeah, can you please share that link? That would be great.
I just shared in our chat.
Thank you.
So, Payman, at the minimum, we may want to request a kiosk.
Yeah. In-person kiosk is for project booths. On site. And I believe the deadline is July 22 to submit kiosk application. We still have time to prepare for those opportunities. Any further information from Toddy?
No, that's all from me.
Okay. So Pritesh, once you get any response from your team, feel free to share with us, because we have a hard date to submit any opportunities for KubeCon NA.
Yep, and NA, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to ask about is there any travel thing, so it's NA, it should be fine.
Okay. The last topic is around the OCI spec 1.1 support in ACR and ECR. Maybe most of you folks are already aware of this update on ACR and ECR because we are stakeholders to this change, right? And I just share those two announcements from two vendors. And recently, we also encountered some issues from the user and also from other community partners. I can share just two examples and leave some time for our offline brainstorming and discussion. The first one is from a user. I just quickly bring that up and leave more time to have brainstorming. So obviously, I think what I am observed from the users' feedback around in OCI in notation community is that users may not be aware of what are the differences between OCI 1.1 and 1.0, and what does the reverse API and reverse text schema mean. They only care about what have been pushed to their registry. For example, this user is confused about the reverse text schema, the additional tag pushed to his registry, and he just wanna keep keep his original tags, the image tags, in his repository, and doesn't expect any reverse text schema to be pushed to his container registry. And I noticed that the Notary Project website doesn't have enough information to clarify those concepts. So I think the action here is that we may need more information about the OCI 1.1 and why users need that, and how does the current industry registry implement that standard, and how should users adopt this behavior or this choice in their registries. We may need to provide clear guidance on which way to go for users. Right now, I think we miss that information. Another one?
I think we do have it. It's just that it's in alpha release, right? In 1.2.alpha, we do provide that field and everything. It's probably we should do a stable release for that alpha.
Yeah, but that is still alpha. Alpha means unstable.
Yes.
And we don't have any documentation for alpha yet. So I think for production use, users always choose the patch release 1.1.1.
Just thinking out loud, should we do a stable release for that?
You mean for 1.2.0?
Yeah. I mean, just include like I think after doing the bug fix, probably which you called out, we should do the stable release and we can just call it 1.3 later on. Like 1.2, we can just convert our alpha to 1.2 alpha to 1.2. And we can do the next features in 1.3. Just thinking out loud. If the discoverability is really a problem and it becomes a problem for the user, that's one way to solve it. With a minimal effort from our side. It would be a minimal effort because we already have 1.2. It should be relatively simple to do a new release.
So you are proposing a release strategy for focusing on 1.1 support in notation v1.2 and exclude other features from this release.
Yes, we can have other release in 1.3 because I'm not sure what's the new timeline, but if we are not planning any release for 2-3 months, it makes sense to probably do one more, just a release for 1.1 support. Since it's a big feature.
I think maybe we can create an issue for this release strategy change and maybe discuss in the community.
Makes sense.
I agree that it makes more sense to users. and it is also a big enhancement and updates from the registry vendors recently, especially from Azure and from AWS. As we are running out of time, I think we have to close today's discussion. Another issue, maybe I cannot go through it, but I encourage you folks to look at this issue. This issue was raised from a Harbor maintainer, and they provide some suggestions from Harbor point of view when they integrate notation and present the Notary Project signature on their UI. So we can look at this issue offline. It's also related to OCI 1.1 change because Harbor Container Registry recently bumped up to the stable OCI 1.1. Okay, I will stop share and stop here. Any questions? If no further questions, we can end up today's meeting. And thank you, folks. Thank you, folks, for attending today's meeting. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.